Good morning and welcome back to Plaas TV. Almost every industry took a knock with this COVID pandemic, and even though farmers could mostly continue with their activities during lockdown, global value chains were severely disrupted. Nico Groenewald from Standard Bank discusses some of these issues with us. We also chat to Albert van Rensburg from Biomin about the impact of mycotoxins on the livestock industry. But first, over to Lisa Roberts for the news.
Goeiemôre. Die wolmark het verlede week 4,2% laer gesluit teenoor die vorige week, met 90,1% van die totale aanbod wat verkoop is. Die mark het teen 'n waarde van R142,33 per kilogram skoonwol gesluit. Die rand was 3,3% swakker teen die Amerikaanse dollar en 2,3% af teenoor die euro. Die 7de jaarlikse Toyota SA Jong Afslaerskompetisie gaan vanjaar 'n digitale formaat aanneem. Dit is hoofsaaklik weens die feit dat die meeste landbouskoue uitgestel of gekanselleer is. Toe die kompetisie in 2013 vir die eerste keer begin het, was dit 'n klein kompetisie wat by die Bloemskou aangebied is. Sedertdien het die kompetisie gegroei tot verskillende streke in die land. Deelnemers moet voor 15 Augustus 'n video van hulle self aanstuur waarin hulle 2 denkbeeldige lotte opvuil. Die organiseerders van Agri's Got Talent het ook onlangs aangekondig dat hierdie sangkompetisie vanjaar voortgaan. Agri's Got Talent is 'n sangkompetisie vir talentvolle landbouwerkers. Deelnemers moet 'n sangopname van nie langer as 3 minute digitaal instuur. Elke finalis ontvang 'n selfoon om onder andere hierdie opname te doen en opleiding mee te ontvang. Dis dan vandag se landbounuus, maar bly ingeskakel vir nog baie meer. Totsiens.
Simparica by Zuyetis, your best friend's best friend.
The outbreak of COVID-19 across the globe is presenting a unique set of challenges to industries and causing severe disruption to global value chains. Nico Groenewald from Standard Bank discusses some of these factors and issues with us. Nico, looking at our agricultural outputs, what do they look like at the moment compared to 2019?
If you look at the output from the growth sector for the growth numbers for agriculture had 2 years of contraction where we grew basically negatively. This year it was predicted that we would obviously now coming out of a negative base, we would be going back into a healthy positive state. What also happened in the past is we surpassed our $10 billion export, our trade number in terms of agricultural trade 2 years ago. Last year it contracted slightly, just below the $10 billion number. This year it's likely to exceed that number again. I saw the latest numbers came out for the first quarter to quarter, and there's a 16% increase in terms of our trade numbers. So that could be positive for South Africa, despite the impact of the current situation around COVID. That agriculture specifically is relatively in a good space. Obviously, there are certain areas that don't have that same positive outlook within agriculture, but all in all, it looks like we will have a better year than what we had compared to last year.
Talking about imports and exports, the Chinese government has issued a mandate to import significantly higher volumes of agricultural products from Africa. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm going to use a specific case to demonstrate that, and I suppose it is at the back of the challenges that China themselves had with the outbreak of disease in their country, specifically in the agricultural environment, which had a significant impact, for instance, on their pork population. But that is not in itself what we, from a bank perspective, are focusing on. China has a specific focus on imports, and they've got a international Chinese import expo every year that they then focus on imports into China. We have been involved with that for the past, this would be now our third year that we would be going into that, and the intention of that is for China to import $1 billion of foreign goods, and there's a large focus on agricultural goods in itself. The first year when we went, we had a low-key there, and we took clients here with. Last year we increased that significantly, and there was a huge focus on agricultural products specifically. Our intention for this year is to expand that even further. Now, unfortunately, now we have COVID, so there's a bit of challenges insofar as how we were going to do that. But that is a specific focus that China has, and they've dedicated one hall in Shanghai only to agricultural produce, which is a tremendous boost for agricultural products, and they've got a specific focus on African products itself. Our export currently, I think the 2018 numbers to China was in the vicinity of $13 billion for agricultural goods, and that was a 25% increase on the previous years. So there's a huge potential in terms of what we can do to export further to China.
Well, that's good news. Our agricultural sector in South Africa depends heavily on our global markets, and we export to Asia, Europe. Have we been hit by the virus, and how? Of course we have.
Yes, we have. As I mentioned earlier, our numbers still look relatively good if you compare it to the rest of the economy. Our biggest export partner, or our biggest export destination for our product are Africa itself, but if you combine Asia and Europe, that is a significant portion of our exports that goes to those areas. We have seen areas that has been adversely affected from an export perspective. Initially was the wool industry that got hard hit in clamping down in terms of export. After several deliberations, that specific sector could start up again, and that should go back to normal. Other areas, I've seen the numbers recently in the non-food area of agriculture is particularly hard hit, and now we've seen currently what is happening with the tobacco industry in South Africa, and also in terms of the export into other areas of the continent. And then cotton as well. I saw the cotton figures, I think it was yesterday when I saw those numbers. They're down something like 12% as a result of this. And then one of our big export opportunities for us is our game industry, which is currently extremely hard hit by the fact that we can't get people in to partake in hunting.
Now, what is the true effect of this?
Obviously, those specific areas, and then just to take it back, I think that is a focus on these specific industries, but in general, there are challenges insofar as the logistics are concerned, even for our other products. Currently, we've started with the citrus export, the citrus season, and that is in full swing. The challenges are that if you don't have full operations at the harbours, then that could impact those industries. If we can't get that right, and if we take what it would do to the game industry, for instance, that would unfortunately play back into the numbers where we were looking at a healthy growth for agriculture north of double figures. It would probably not be able for agriculture to grow at those numbers as a result of that.
Well, that was good advice. Thank you, Nico.
Thank you.
That was Nico Groenewald from Standard Bank giving us advice on how to prepare for a digital future. And as he said, it's not a future, it's here now. So do it wisely.
Standard Bank. Voluit vorentoe.
In vandag se termynmarkverslag kan daar gesien word dat die pryse van mielies, koring sowel as oliesade die afgelope week vir lewering in September redelik goed gedoen het. Dit is veral wit en geel mielies se pryse wat onderskeidelik skerp gestyg het met 5.4 en 4.8% op 'n week-tot-week grondslag. Die stygings in die pryse van graan sowel as oliesade het te doen met die verswakking in die rand wat die uit- en invoerpariteitspryse ondersteun het. Wat olie aanbetref het olie baie gestyg die afgelope week met 7.7% en dit het te doen met die feit dat die Amerikaanse olievoorrade bietjie laer is as gevolg van vraag wat weer begin toeneem. Die rand-dollar het verswak met 1.7% terwyl die rand-pond basies onveranderd gebly het en die rand 0.7% veld verloor het teenoor die euro.
NutriFeeds, die formule vir sukses. Standard Bank, voluit vorentoe.
Na raming kom mycotoxine tot op 30% van die wêreld se gewasse voor en die voorkoms of verspreiding daarvan neem stelselmatig toe. En dis waar ons vandag gesels met Albert van Rensburg, hy is bestuurende direkteur van Biomin Suid-Afrika. Ons praat met hom oor die verrykende impak van mycotoxine, veral op die veebedryf. Ja, Albert, mycotoxine, verduidelik vir ons wat presies is dit?
Ja, soos die naam sê, mykos is 'n Griekse woord wat beteken fungus en toksien is 'n toksien, is 'n gifstof. So die naam sê vir ons, dit is fungusse wat op plante groei en is alle graangewasse wat dan mycotoxine maak wat giftig is vir mens en dier. Ons deel dit gewoonlik in twee hoofgroepe in, by name van landmycotoxine en stoormycotoxine. So landmycotoxine, soos die naam vir jou sê, kom vanaf die land. Die mycotoxine word gevorm tydens die plant se groeifase en dan die stoormycotoxine is in stoor of in silo's. As die stoortoestande nie gunstig is nie, dan kan die toksine en die swamme aanhou groei en meer toksine maak. So in breë is dit maar hoe dit verdeel word en waar dit vandaan kom.
So watter risiko's hou dit vir mens en dier in?
Ja, vir die mens veral is dit kankerwekkend. En in Suid-Afrika is een mycotoxien ontdek wat wêreldwyd nou bekend is wat keelkanker veroorsaak, wat hoofsaaklik op wit mielies voorgekom het en nog steeds eintlik in alle mielies voorkom, wat die mense wat se stapelvoedsel mielies of graan is, kry keelkanker. So kanker is een van dit, lewerskade, nierskade en dan ook die immuniteitsonderdrukking is een van die groot effekte. By diere beïnvloed dit die prestasie, die immuniteit van diere, as ook die vrugbaarheid van diere. En gewoonlik sien ons die grootste impak op intensiewe veeproduksies of stelsels soos voerkrale, braaikuikens, varke wat hoë graandieete kry, wat daar hoofsaaklik invloed het op die diereprestasie, algehele gesondheid en vrugbaarheid. En die meeste van die gevalle is dit subklinies, diere gaan nie dood nie, maar omdat die prestasie van diere beïnvloed het, het 'n baie groot ekonomiese impak op die uiteinde of op die ekonomiese resultate wat ons sien met intensiewe veeproduksie.
Albert, is daar wetgewing in plek vir die maksimum toelaatbare vlakke in veevoer?
Ja, daar is. Amerika is daar 'n organisasie FDA, die Food and Drug Association, wat riglyne het. In Europa is dit EFSA, dis die European Food Safety Authority. En ons vat daardie riglyne wat gepubliseer is wêreldwyd, dit kom uit navorsing uit, gebruik ons in Suid-Afrika om ook wetgewing daar te stel. En dit word gedryf deur AFMA, Assosiasie van Veevoervervaardigers, en dit word streng toegepas. So ja, daar is wetgewing en die wetgewing word al hoe strenger omdat die impak van mycotoxine al hoe groter word in die menslike en dierlike kant.
Toekomstige tegnologiese ontwikkeling, vertel 'n bietjie vir ons daarvan.
Ja, ek dink omdat ons self, Biomin self 'n biotehnologiese maatskappy is, fokus ons baie streng op natuurlike oplossings en baie van die ensieme wat ons gebruik in die deaktivering van hierdie mycotoxine, dink ek is die toekoms. So die ou metodes van kleibinders gaan verdwyn. Dan het ons ook voorspellingsmodelle waar ons gekoppel is aan oor die 200 weerstasies wat ons inligting van kry en ons kan 'n voorspelling maak deur die weer vanaf die weerdata oor wat die moontlike impak gaan wees in die nuwe seisoen. Ja, en dan beslis, ek dink op die plantteelingkant met geen manipulasie kan plante geteel word dalk in die toekoms om nie vatbaar te wees vir fungus en dan mycotoxienproduksie nie. So die tegnologie vat ons in daardie rigting.
Ja. Dit was aan Albert van Rensburg, bestuurder-direkteur van Biomin, wat met ons gesels het oor mycotoxine, die ontwikkeling tegnologies en ook goed soos toelaatbare vlakke en watter beheermaatreëls is in plek om te verseker dat die toekoms daarvan nie skadelik is vir mens en dier nie.
Biomin, natuurlik voor in dierevoeding. Allflex, livestock intelligence.
Moenie Woensdag se episode van Plaas TV misloop nie. Ons gesels met Dr. Andy Hensen oor die onderste poort voerkraal uitdaging en hoe die koronakrisis hierdie kompetisie geraak het. Rudy van der Westhuizen van Samek gesels ook met ons oor 'n nuwe graderingsstelsel vir beesvleis.